In the early stages of writing an idea, I usually find it really helpful to mine a lot of fundamental decisions by looking at what I have so far. On Go Bag, one of these decisions was to set the film at an airport, because I thought it reinforced the theme of going, escaping, leaving, etc. The thing is, filming at an airport is very complicated logistically, aka super expensive. So the solution to that we ended up with was setting the film in an airport parking garage. This actually ended up benefiting the film not just logistically, but creatively as well. The parking garage actually provides a physical framework for structuring the story. She starts in the stairwell, then she moves to the ramp in the lower levels, and finally ends up on the roof for the finale. And the structure naturally lent itself to escalation of the threats facing the protagonist at every turn. Proof once again that your limitations are opportunities to make your movie better. We found a parking garage that looked like it could totally sell as part of an airport campus. Then the plan was to augment specific shots visually in post, adding planes in the sky, sometimes using stock footage from Dissolve, and other times using 3D models animated in Element 3D. Then in post, we'd be very intentional about making it sound like an airport, adding sound effects from soundsnap.com like planes flying overhead, and intercom announcements. We also left a space in one of the earliest scenes to eventually insert a shot of an airport terminal. During principal production, we weren't really sure how we were going to get this shot later, but we figured we'd have plenty of time in post to figure that out. More on that in a second. Now, the other big airport element was the post-credits scene, which required us to simulate an airport security line featuring an X-ray machine, an X-ray display, and a TSA agent. We shot the scene in an office building where there happened to be a narrow walkway connecting two buildings. It provided large windows to feature in the background, as well as some metal textures and neutral colors. For the X-ray machine, I just went to Goodwill and bought the most vague and generic-looking appliance I could find, which ended up being this tiny bread oven, which we turned on its side and kept on the edge as a frame. The TSA agent, played by our friend Andrew Yance, featured one of the laziest, cheapest, most embarrassingly terrible costumes. It was basically a shirt from Walmart, some bands of paper stapled to the shoulders, an American flag patch, and a fake ID literally printed out on printer paper. It wasn't even laminated. Because we needed to be in and out of the office building in a relatively short period of time, we decided not to lug a computer monitor in with us. Instead, we put a light stand in frame for reference, then added a monitor in post. We fashioned the on-screen graphics from a variety of stock elements and animated and composited them in After Effects, relying a lot on Holomatrix from Red Giant Universe to give it an LCD texture and slight discoloration. Now, back at that insert I mentioned earlier. As expected, we ended up having more than enough time in post to figure out a solution to this. And as should have been expected, we literally waited until a week before release to start figuring out a solution to this. First, we tried stock footage, but even with the best footage at our disposal, it still felt foreign and dropped in. So then we tried shooting it. We shot the bulk of the film with an Amira, but since by this point we had spent our entire budget and couldn't afford to rent an Amira for a day, we shot these inserts on a Blackmagic thinking it would be fine. But unfortunately, it was not fine. All these shots still felt foreign and dropped in as well. So our next solution was to just cut the shot. But that didn't work because without it, this scene just looked like a blatant city street and nothing like an airport. So with only a few days left until release, I was so desperate, I just started texting all of my director friends.
I was at my house, I think it was a weekend, and I got a text from Seth saying, "Hey man, any chance you happen to have any exterior shots of an airport?" Incredibly, at that exact moment, I happened to know that my friend Jordy and other guys from his production company were flying in the air to Seattle. I texted Jordy, and he texted back and said, "Actually, I'm in the air right now. We land in 30 minutes, and yes, I have an Amira with me." So I texted Seth back and said, "All right, I got you a crew and an Amira outside of the SeaTac airport in a half an hour. What do you need?" Jordy's suggestion was actually that they jump on FaceTime so that Seth could direct from Nashville while they were shooting in Seattle. And in fact, that is exactly what happened.
It just goes to show how important it is to invest yourself in the filmmaking community, because they can totally save your ass at the last minute. All this fakery, making an office look like an airport, using a bread oven as an X-ray machine, this is my favorite thing about filmmaking. Being audacious enough to try the stupidest solutions to ambitious problems. Even if you fail miserably, you can sleep at night knowing you tried your hardest, and that somewhere out there, Ryan Booth has a crew on 24-hour standby waiting for your call.